Buenas tardes. Bienvenidos, Māori and Peru. Today, we will be meeting with the Qarmenqa crew again, here at Rosie O'Grady's in Tauranga, to reminisce, to share the journey that we went on together and the fun times we had. Come in and meet the crew. Mauri ora.
Oh, he's still got his camera.
Yeah, it is a costume.
Oh, he's in costume. Yes,
In character.
Like Dirty Sanchez over there. Hey!
There she is.
How is it?
Good, thank you.
Hey, no, good to see you. Jeez, you're right into this. I know, you were dressed up great. Hey! You gotta take off.
Oh, good. Oh, no.
Security.
Yeah,
How's it going?
It's an issue.
Right, yeah, fuck it. But yeah. What do you want to do? I'll go get it. No, I'll get it. What are you?
Buenos tardes, amigos.
See your horse truck around here.
Oh, no, it's packed out. Ya tato. Hey, what?
Hey, do you want you a present?
Oi,
No, not
hey,
Oh,
Ray.
no, not too big.
All this to aggravate you. And you have to go and have an interview on Māori television with I approved it. Oh yeah.
Hey, sorry, you couldn't hang around for the presentation.
Just when I want to tickle his toes. Kapai. Pass it on.
Pass it on, you're up, bro.
Cusco style! But the thing is, it wasn't little. Ah, beautiful! Beautiful!
I just want to give us a bit of sun.
Now we just need a llama.
Hey, yeah, it's sun. It's good.
It's better in the sun.
I do need a llama. You're right. Right, you're up. Ko Tāmara Bell tōku ingoa, he kaimahi hau mo te rōpū o mo te kamupene Core Education. My name's Tāmara Bell, I work for Core Education and they were kind enough to support me in going over to the Whipsy Conference 2011 in Peru.
In Peru, you did some presentations. What was your presentation about?
Our presentation was called Te Manua Po and it was discussing the program. I was co-presenting with my colleague Dee Reid from Waikato University. Dee and I are the North and South Island facilitators for Te Manua Po. Te Manua Po is an online Te Reo Māori program for kaiako and English medium schools from year 0 to 8. So our program is designed to support the raising of Māori student achievement.
Kia ora. What were some of the highlights for you in Peru?
Mama Africa's.
What was it about Mama Africa?
Truly, it's funny you say that because a couple of weeks ago I got asked by a colleague, sum up Whipsy or your journey, your experience in one word, and I was like, oh no, it's impossible, can't do that. And then I sort of thought, he goes, no, do it, one word, give me one word, and I was like, oh. But when I was pushed, I instantly thought Ngaungatanga because It was about the people I was with, the people I met, the people I spent time with socially, but also networking, going to other people's presentations. It was about learning about this. And what was astoundingly honest and truthful right from the start was that they all had the same stories. The impact of colonisation on Indigenous languages and cultures right around the world, same stories. And it was about making relationships with people from Aotearoa and right across the world. That was the best part.
Were there any funny moments for you?
Yes, lots. Where do you start? Probably, going home with you, Māori, going home with you from the night out at the Irish pub, late night. The fact that we had packed out, we were in the middle of Cusco, a little wee Spanish town. It's full of Māori people singing waiata, doing haka, and actually really impressing the locals. And considering, I thought we might have been pissing them off, but no, they were loving every second of it. And that was that kind of wairoa, the whole conference. You know, people were just happy to be together and embrace everyone's culture, and we're all there for the same reasons: a passion for Indigenous language and Indigenous cultures. So I think our nights out were some of the better moments off the record.
Were there any scary moments or any concerns for you?
I think safety is always an issue. You always want to be aware that as much as locals are nice and friendly to you, there's also that barrier, and I guess being aware that people struggle and they see tourists as maybe an easy target or easy money or trying to dupe them into things. So I think if you go in there with the idea that you're streetwise and you look after yourself and you stay safe, you stay with your group, it's fine, you're fine. But whānau look after you, so I was never too worried about any of that.
How was the high altitude for you?
It wasn't too bad. I thought I would suffer. I hated the fact I bought my running gear all the way from Aotearoa and assumed I'd be out running every day trying to keep fit. It stayed at the bottom of my suitcase gathering dust the whole time because I could barely walk, let alone run. There was no way I was going to run. Walking was hard. Walking up a slight incline, I felt like I was a 100-year-old kuia just struggling for breath. But I wasn't sick and I could do it. I could get out there and I could walk around. So for that, I was grateful.
What would you recommend for other people who might consider going to Peru?
Peru, I would say absolutely go there. The people are beautiful, the place is beautiful, the Cusco is amazing. Good food, cheap. Machu Picchu is, he wahi tapu, such a spiritual place, a real connection for Māori people. Put it on the bucket list. Don't miss out. Do it. If you've got some kind of ache or need to go there, or you think that's something you'd like to do, absolutely, hands down, I'd advise you go. No mai haramai ki Whipsy 2014. I shall see you in Hawaii.
Thank you for your time.
Ka kite.
tātou atu i a koutou i a tātou.
Kia ora, Māori.
Hare whānau mai tātou, ki tēnei haukai ngō tātou. Nō reira ngā mihi nui ki a tātou katoa, e nā koutou. Qarmenqa!
Qarmenqa! Kauriara!
E te iwi kāinga tēnā. Tēnā rā koe hoa, ko Tony Wa'o tōku ingoa. Haere au I raro I te maru o Te Māngai Pāho. I represented Te Māngai Pāho and I also represented Te Kohanga National Trust.
Good. Did you have the opportunity to present while you were in
I
Bitsy?
did, yes, I did.
So what was your presentation about?
Well, I did I explained the links between the role broadcasting has and how that parallels with the role education has played in the revitalisation of our reo, and gave the background to the last 40 years of our mahi to bring our reo back to life, and the role that since '94 Te Māngai Pāho has played to tautoko all of that other stuff that started way back with Hannah Jackson and Te Reo Māori Society, Ngā Tamatoa. Yeah.
Kia ora. What were some of the highlights from Whipsy for you?
I think definitely the local culture. The environment, firstly, was, because that's the first thing I noticed, was as we flew in, was the land was amazing. And then as we got off the plane and I saw the people looked like they're carved from the land. It's incredible, like their facial features and everything. And then as we got into this, got over the altitude thing and got into how the conference was working and getting used to the local people. That to me was the highlight, was actually being amongst Peruvians, Quechua especially. Number one. Number two was our whānau. Hotel Qarmenqa was awesome. I mihi to everybody because I didn't really know anybody going to the conference apart from some colleagues from the Kohanga National Trust, but I didn't know where they were staying, and we didn't link up for about 2 days. So the way you fellas embraced Penny and me, and how Raukawa and Waikato and all the little add-ons, it was awesome. That was beautiful.
Any funny moments for you?
Funny moments. Funny as in hilarious moments.
Stevie Wonder moments?
No, I think it was too awe-inspiring to be funny. The funny times, the good fun times were with us when we hung together and we went together. Of course, I've forgotten Machu Picchu. Can't forget that. That's part of that whole landscape thing. But Machu Picchu stands out as unbelievably overwhelming. I'm still not over it, really. I had to put in Machu Picchu. No, I can't remember a hilarious moment. Oh, I think the panicking moment was when we were leaving and you fellas were going to catch that bloody plane. I was running down the... I loved it though, we were awesome. It was a good way to a tautoko. Beautiful.
How did you find the altitude?
Hard. My own fault. I should have got myself fitter. I should have lost some weight. I should have concentrated on that more. And the coca leaves were doing nothing for me. And then the fellow at reception gave me the name of the pill they eat. They have if they're feeling crook. And I sit down on the chair and rau, had the very pill I needed. So I had that and I was fine after that. But it is as soon as I got off the plane, couldn't breathe. It's incredible.
Thank you. What would you recommend to others who would consider visiting Peru?
Definitely visit. Get fit. No, I don't mean go hard out, but just get fit for the altitude and go to Machu Picchu. And like anywhere, do as the Romans do. You know, follow the local people. They are lovely, beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. Kia ora. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, pai.
Viva Qarmenqa! Viva Qarmenqa! Viva Qarmenqa! Viva Qarmenqa!
Here we go. It doesn't say anything.
But just keep pushing. It hasn't been back yet. Ándale. Vamos.
There's a small button on the top.
Yep, get the soul one. See? We're not
It is.
Tēnā koutou katoa, Rau Hoskins, no Ngāti Hau, Ngāpuhi, represented Ngā Aho, the network of Māori design professionals.
So, when you were in Whoopsie, did you have the opportunity to present?
You want me to look at you or the camera?
Look at the camera.
Okay. I did. I had the opportunity to present. I was feeling pretty seedy. In fact, I spewed up half an hour before my kōrero. I'd been to Paddy's Bar the night before, and it was a combination of that and the altitude sickness. But despite that, managed to pull it out and present, and had a reasonable crowd there too. I felt aroha for the people who presented on the Sunday, and had hardly anyone there. So I felt lucky. Yeah.
So, what was your presentation about?
The presentation was about Indigenous cultural landscapes and how, as colonised peoples, Our struggle to make sure that our physical environment actually reflects our identity is one that's ongoing and one that perhaps needs some real strategies to support it. So really, we can walk through Cusco and we can really see the Inca presence there in the architecture, and we can see the Spanish as well. But when we're in Queen Street, kei hea ngai tātou te iwi Māori.
What were some of the highlights that you gained from Whipsy?
Just being in Cusco, being in such a different country. I've been to Europe, but Cusco being more of a third world country, very unique, the Incan architecture. The fellowship with our Qarmenqa crew was definitely a highlight. Going to some of the presentations from some of the Keshwa groups, also a highlight. So, and of course Machu Picchu, a place that I guess should be on most people's bucket list.
Awesome. Any funny moments for you?
Spewing up in the corner of the room in a wastepaper basket. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but I suppose looking back maybe. Paddy's Bar, the highest altitude Irish bar in the world. Lots of fun times there, and Mama Africa as well. Yeah, so good times.
You mentioned a little bit about the high altitude. Can you expand a little bit more about that?
Well, I didn't find out till a few days later that you weren't supposed to drink alcohol too much in your first few days there, so maybe if I'd known I might have taken it a bit more easy, but just the first couple of days, just the shortness of breath, and then you try and rest, and that's actually the worst thing, because when you're lying down you're breathing shallowly. So I wish I'd boned up a little bit more about techniques on high altitude, but after a few days it came right, and we had a great time.
What would you recommend for other people who are considering going to Peru?
Allow yourself a couple of days to adjust to the altitude. Don't drink too much, just take it easy, but keep active in the first few days. Definitely don't do Machu Picchu until you've been in Cusco maybe 2 or 3 days at least, because I met people who went straight to Machu Picchu and they didn't appreciate it at all because they were still suffering so much from altitude. So take your time to adjust, put Machu Picchu a few days later, enjoy Cusco. Once you've adjusted, have a ball.
Kia ora, thank you for your time.
didn't know about it, so they never showed up anyway.
And
So
actually just finding out right at the very, you know, like during the opening ceremony is, because that was hot, hey, that was really, really hot. But I have to say that was really amazing, eh? Saksei Woman.
it was amazing. But I felt for our elders too. Because
Yes.
they
That's
didn't
why
have
you're the one who
tea,
said
they
it.
didn't have shade.
Oh, yeah, this is on, by the way.
Well, you can say that. You can quote me on that. I felt for our elders. They should have been looked after a lot better.
You can imagine altitude sickness if you're old or a bit frail or something. You know, they got lucky. Oh, that's right. That Aboriginal dude.
Yes, on the way home. But he's so quiet. Like, when we were quiet, he got back on the plane. He walked down. He's like,
left the behind at the in Santiago Airport. Santiago.
yeah, they announced it.
Because you were like at the airport. Did they announce it?
Even when he sat down in the chair, because I was on one side and I
That's your alcohol.
Gracias.
Hi, kia ora. My name's Dee and I work for the University of Waikato School Support Services. The university is actually a member of a 5-strong consortium called Te Toi Tupu, and Renee and I both went over to Peru and Tamara representing that consortium because we're all involved in delivering contracts that the consortium hold rather than the university on its own.
Tell us a little bit about your presentation.
Oh, okay. So our presentation to the WIPSI conference was all about Te Manawa Pou, which is an online professional learning and development program for teachers of Te Reo Māori in primary schools. And our presentation, Tamara and I presented on Te Manawa Pou. I'm the project leader and a facilitator of that program, and we work with 146 teachers throughout New Zealand to help them with their professional learning around Te Reo Māori, specifically to awhi them to whakapiki their reo in a very emergent learner context. Can't build Rome in a day. The second component focuses on supporting teachers to become better or more effective teachers of a second language, and the third component focuses on them planning a school-wide Te Reo Māori program in partnership with iwi. So strategies to involve whānau and iwi in that process, really.
Kia ora.
So that's what we presented on.
Kia ora. What were some of the highlights for you at WIPSI?
Oh, a huge highlight for me was actually being amongst other Indigenous peoples. It really was affirming in the sense that I didn't realise how lucky we were in New Zealand until you hear the stories of other peoples and how much of a struggle it perhaps is for them. So that was a huge highlight, to actually come back and feel like we're doing okay in Aotearoa. We're waimaria tātou.
Kia ora. Were there any funny moments for you?
Oh, plenty. I was secretly hoping that the few times that I did go out would remain private and everyone would forget them, but
They went global, eh?
yeah, but actually getting out and about, socialising, having a few drinks, and just getting to meet such a wonderful bunch of people. The HQ crew, essentially, and look at us, 3 months down the track, and we're still hooking up. And I think the networks, the friendships, the collegiality is something you just can't pass, really. That was the extreme highlight.
Any concerns for you?
When I look back, it was such a fun trip, really, and I sort of think, how can you moan about anything when, we were in Peru, we were having a fantastic time. The professional learning for me was just so valuable. I'd rate it as the best PD I've ever had. the opportunity to hear stories from other people in New Zealand alone. I mean, I had to go to Peru to hear the stories that other New Zealanders had to share. But I suppose if you look back in terms of the conference itself, the logistics, of trying to get from one hotel to another, that was a huge concern. Tamara and I only found out that we were presenting on the Sunday at the welcoming ceremony, and I mean those were sort of, to me, quite low level concerns, and there were far more positives that outweigh that. For me, glass is always half full rather than half empty, and there's always things that could have been better. I think it would have been nice to have a bit of parity on the way we were accommodated and things like that, but essentially big thumbs up. No major concerns. I was worried about the high altitude sort of sickness components, but I was fortunate that it wasn't impacted.
What would you recommend to others who would consider going to Peru?
Learn Spanish. I mean, we had a few sort of phrases under our belt. We had a Spanish-English phrase book, and essentially it wasn't enough. I think if you're really wanting to go there and enjoy what the people have to offer and have to share with you, you need to be able to communicate with them in their own language. I don't put that at the country's fault at all. I mean, I think if you're going to another country where it's Spanish speaking, then learn Spanish. And to some extent, I would have loved to have learned a little bit more Quechua actually, because those people they touched me, immensely. Such a humble people, and I would have loved to have been able to say something to them in their mother tongue. But funny, because you ended up resorting to te reo Māori. I don't know why, but it's like, if they don't get English, they're not going to get te reo.
I listened to some of the groups and some of the HQ group, and now they got this mix of Māori, English and Spanish. Yes.
Well, it took me about 2 weeks before I would stop sort of saying gracias and sí and sort of things.
Buenos dias.
Yeah. But that would be my first tip. Learn more than just the survival phrases. Another tip would be don't take any luggage so that you can actually come back with the fantastic, like their textiles, their materials that they use for their ponchos and their jerseys and things are just amazing. The alpaca wool. Yeah, so I'd say take empty suitcases and you can just buy whatever you need there.
Kia ora, thank you for your time.
Sweeties, thank you.
No consigo esa razón, porque yo sé que hiciste gran timón, los caprichos de tu corazón, lo que puede ser mi pensamiento, aprendiste la verdad que yo soñé, aunque esta vez te di lo sufriendo, la primera noche. Hoy mi playa se viste una aventura, porque tu alma tiene que partir.
Of course.
Happens every so often.
Change.
My name is Awanui Black, and I represented Te Wānanga and Paukawa.
Kia ora. Can you tell me a little bit about your presentation? Can you do a summary of that?
Well, in summary, I suppose the topic was Māori and Tāwhaki, and looking at the lessons that both of them have left for us to emulate, I suppose, and that in terms of education, it's difficult to teach a Tāwhaki in the same way you teach a Māori. So as we know, Māori was a bit of a trickster and had his own way of doing things, whereas Tāwhaki was, generally speaking, the type of guy who followed the straight and narrow. And it's about looking to our own traditions and our own whakapapa and our own ways for the lessons for life and how to live life and how to raise the next generation.
I remember part of your presentation or some of the kōrero after it talked about how Tāwhaki had linked to Peru. Was there any other following kōrero from that?
A lot, and I'm not sure whether or not you've got enough time or space on your hard drive.
50 hours.
You should do it. But essentially, one of the main reasons that I decided that I wanted to present in Peru, at Cusco, having not attended any other Whoopsie event prior to that, it was based upon whakapapa. It was based upon whakapapa and based upon common traditions and common lineage. So what I had heard is that in Peru, there was, amongst one of the tribes in Peru, there was a tradition relating to Tāwhaki, which intrigued me. Tāwhaki and Māori both occupy very important positions in our histories and in our traditions. So I went there partly in search of that. And I can say, I guess, that we've found a link. And the links, it's one of those very interesting things that happens in Te Ao Māori. While most of us have gone there as academics, perhaps, for academic reasons, there are a number of other drivers that encourage us as Indigenous peoples to gather together and to find the links and build those links. And for me, this was one of them. And so while I was there, and I'll try my best to summarise it, but essentially through a number of interactions with people from different Indigenous communities, we were able to establish on one level that yes, indeed, we did have a connection back there, and particularly to Machu Picchu, based on whakapapa that some of our Hawaiian cousins had after I sat down. They didn't actually attend my presentation, but I sat down with a group of them, and we discussed some of those important kaupapa that link us as Māori and Hawaiian, actually, in that instance. And I started talking about Māori and Tāwhaki, whereby the person that I was talking with went away and came back with a whakapapa. And in the whakapapa, they showed a link back from here in Aotearoa to Hawaii, from Hawaii to Tahiti, and from Tahiti to a place, or to some names, that as far as the people in Hawaii were concerned, they were unsure of the origins, which we found in Peru. So it's become something of a mission, I suppose, on my behalf, now to further research that and to go back and to find how exactly our people are linked. Because I guess in an anecdotal sense, it's pretty hard to dismiss. Us as Indigenous peoples, we just seem to click, regardless of where we're from, and regardless of the language. So this is an adventure, I guess, for me, and a bit of a mission that I hope will bear fruit in the future.
Kia ora, thank you for that. I have to say that of all the presentations that I saw, yours was the most intriguing. So that's why I wanted the opportunity to expand with you on that.
Too much, Brent.
What were some of the highlights for you in Peru?
Highlights for me, I guess, from a Māori taha wairua side, they were all of the tohu. There were a whole number of things. You know, we had to contend with quite a lot of things up there. As far as our living conditions while we were there, different types of food, language differences, cultural differences, and a whole lot of other things. Which I always think that, you know, in adversity builds character. And so that was one of the learnings, but on the other side, there was like a chain of events that happened. And if our old people were there, they would have said this was meant to be, and that your tupuna are trying to communicate with you. So probably for me personally, the greatest side of the experiences were those were the things that happened, were the things that we're involved in, were the coming together of different peoples in different ways that were unplanned, whereby we created these relationships that will be, I think, lifelong. And one of those is the HQ crew. Is this HQ crew. You know, we had a similar experience. We had the same sorts of challenges, and those challenges have made us better in many respects and have created a camaraderie, I think, that will be with us for the rest of our lives. That was wonderful. Some of the presentations that I was honoured to sit through and to experience, including yours, Brett, awesome. It was, heartfelt. It was from experience, and it wasn't based on somebody else's experiences, based on your own. You know, these are moving. Benta Mohia's presentation about the transformational aspects of what we're engaged in. That it's more than sitting in a classroom, it's more than writing a paper. It's about being able to transform the world. And I guess that side of it, the academic aspect of it, the experiential side of it, of listening and hearing about it, was very moving. The other really moving aspect of it for me was to see how poverty-stricken so many of those whānau over there were in Cusco, and how hard they worked to secure a living for themselves. And I thought to myself, how very privileged, I suppose, that we are back here in Aotearoa. Yep, we have it tough at times. Man, there are a lot of people in the world that have it tougher than us. And I think that what it gave me was a real drive to see how we can work not only with our people to improve our lot and to do the best for our people, but to work with these other people who are not as well off as us. And it was a turning point, I suppose, in life. And looking at how, I suppose, education and academic achievements of academic qualifications, if you like, how they can be used to better people, not to sit away in your concrete, your concrete towers and your castles of academia, but really how you can use that to make a difference. Because if you can't make a difference, then it ain't worth the paper that's written. So, kia ora.
Any funny moments for you?
Oh, plenty of those. Oh, just heaps and heaps. Because I think, one of the really great things about it, because we had a lot of good times, heaps of good times. Mama Africa, paddies, just hanging out and cruising around. Just, it was one after the other. And that's what's really good about this crew, is that nobody was really too serious. Because, there are a lot of times for us to be serious, but, there are those times we just have to chill out and act like whanaunga and do things in certain ways. And, there were just heaps of funny, heaps of humorous times and, using Luana's words, cutting shapes out there on the dance floor. And just, getting up and singing with those, Matua Tūroa, getting up and doing a waiata with those guys in their restaurant. That was just nice, wairua. Just the wairua flowing in such a positive way. Me.
How did you find the high altitude?
Ooh, tough. Tough, not as tough as some, but, it did take its toll. It certainly slowed you down, and I know that when we got down to Machu Picchu, after being up in Cusco for so long, it was you could just the difference was so tangible, being a bit lower down, and the first few days, just climbing stairs, a few, half, maybe a dozen stairs was a real effort, and it affects you in all sorts of other ways. That said, I like to look at these things very philosophically, and that these are all lessons in life. And one of those lessons that I learned in life was that it's very, very valuable to go to the doctor before you leave Aotearoa. It makes a world of difference, because when you get up there, you think that you're prepared, but you're not. And so yeah. And I think taking those sort of precautions, especially because there were quite a few of our whānau up there who were affected quite seriously, either hospitalised and otherwise. Some were laid up in bed for most of the time we were there. So it affected everybody in different ways. Some of those that weren't were height challenged didn't seem to be as affected as some of those who weren't as height challenged as them. So yeah, it's all learning, bro.
What would you recommend for other people who may consider going to Peru?
Just do it. Got to do it. I didn't know a lot about Peru, but prior to going up, I've done my best to find out what I could. But I really think that from going up into Peru, that in some respects you get to know yourself better. You can learn more about who you are, and you have an opportunity probably to contribute to those whānau up there, and have an experience, a cultural and human experience that you'd be hard pressed to get in other places. Because what it does, I think, is that it takes you out of your comfort zone. And that is so important for all of us. So, Peru, just do it.
Kia ora. Thank you for your time.
Kia ora.
Ko rāpata wiri tōku ingoa. Mahi anau mā te whare wānanga o Awanuiarangi I Whakatāne. I'm a associate professor in the School of Indigenous Graduate Studies at Te Whare Wānanga o Awanuiarangi in Whakatāne.
Tell me a little bit about the presentation that you gave in Peru.
The presentation that I gave?
Yes.
Yeah, my presentation at the WIPSI was derived or emanated from my PhD thesis, which looked at the concept of socio-cultural landscapes, which basically looked at ways in which Māori people conceptualise the landscape and how Pākehā conceptualise the landscape. And what I was advocating in my presentation was that the concept of epistemology, which means how we look at the world, our ways of knowing, Māori ways of knowing the landscape, have become subjugated by Western ways of knowing the landscape. So, for example, Māori view the land as Mother Earth, Papa Tuanuku. However, when the Westerners came to Aotearoa, New Zealand, they imposed their epistemology on the landscape, which is based on capitalism or a system of making money. Therefore, when they imposed their epistemology upon the Māori landscape or socio-cultural landscape, they despiritualised it, they commodified it, and they took everything that we value in our culture as being important and being part of who we are, and it's simply become a commodity to buy and sell on the marketplace. So, and it's not just happened in New Zealand. When I went to Peru, I saw it there at Machu Picchu, where they've taken the most sacred place of the Inca people and they've turned it into a tourist mecca. And you know, they've got a restaurant there. We tried to conduct some of our protocols there, and we got told off by some of the people at Machu Picchu. And the other thing I was surprised to find out was that Machu Picchu doesn't even belong to the native Peruvians, to the Quechua people, but it belongs to a company in Santiago, Chile. So really, so that whole concept of socio-cultural landscapes and how the Western culture can impose itself on an indigenous culture is not just in New Zealand, but it's a worldwide phenomenon.
It's been a few months since we were in Peru.
Yeah.
In reflection, has there been other things that have come out?
Well, you know, it was a life-changing experience for me. First time I'd ever been to South America, Latin America. First time I had experienced a culture like the Peruvian culture. Since I've come back, it's been a humbling experience for me. And I was quite, I think, taken by the fact that we're very fortunate in New Zealand. We're very lucky, the Māori people, that is, that, you know, we're spunky, we're courageous, that we're not afraid to speak out, we're not afraid to defend our rights, and to come up with ideas. And so it made me see that, yeah, we really are world leaders among Indigenous peoples in terms of reviving our own culture. And also I think the spiritual side of things I was quite taken by. And I think you bring some of that back with you. I brought some of that back with me when I came back to New Zealand. So, yeah, it was a powerful experience.
Where do you see the WIPSI conference going in the future in regards to Indigenous rights?
Well, I think that, you know, the WIPSI conference is the main purpose, I think, is to try and bring together all of these Indigenous peoples from around the world to articulate and explain their experiences of oppression in their own countries. I think that, you know, they have to get a bit more political, I think, you know, and start to infiltrate the political systems in their own country, perhaps United Nations and places like that, the World Court, The Hague and all those sorts of places, to basically, if we can perhaps use the WIPSI as a vehicle to bring together Indigenous leaders around the world who perhaps could form a cohort to be able to go and infiltrate places like the World Court, places like the United Nations, and use those mechanisms as a way of promoting Indigenous people and uplifting Indigenous cultures in their respective countries.
Finally, I know I asked you this before in another interview, but again, has any of your recommendations changed in regards to other people who might consider going to Peru?
No, I would thoroughly, highly recommend visiting Peru and South America because, you know, it's something you'll never get the opportunity to see or experience in your lifetime. I was very, very fortunate to go there. And I was just lucky because of the WIPSI conference. I was able to go there and to see how they live, to experience their culture, their language, their way of life, to taste their food, to drink their alcohol and other non-alcoholic beverages. And it was
Eat their guinea pig?
Eat their guinea pig. Yeah, that was a bit funky. Yeah, so I would thoroughly recommend Peru. It's for a lot of New Zealanders, you know, I think they would get a surprise to see the poverty, but you know, it's everywhere. We're very fortunate in New Zealand that we have a welfare system. They don't. So you get a lot of people on the street, beggars and hustlers and what have you. But other than that, it's a fantastic place. The restaurants, the markets, the different things you'll see there, the people, it's fascinating. So I don't change my recommendation at all. I would thoroughly recommend visiting Peru and visiting South America. And I want to go back one day and perhaps visit Colombia and Argentina, Brazil, and get a Brazilian, and go and visit other places around South America.
Kia ora, thank you for your time.
Muchas gracias. Can't buy, bro.
the remnant of 1960s.
I love it. I love it.
And this one here too.
Big wave.
Kia ora koutou. It's Friday morning. We finished the Qarmenqa reunion. As you can see here, I'm at the mount. I'm underneath the shadow of Mount Maunganui. I have to say it doesn't really compare to what we saw in Machu Picchu. However, it's still a tupuna and a manawhina of this land. Yeah, so afterthoughts about last night. I have to say it was awesome to see everybody. It's been 6 weeks since we come back from South America, Peru. Good to touch base and see where everyone is at. It's amazing our bonds are still strong. It's been 6 weeks, you know. So we're going to keep in contact with each other and continue our networks and continue our journey. I have to say that a big part of going to Peru was the people that I was with. Amazing friendships, amazing camaraderie. It's going to last a lifetime. I was absolutely privileged to have the opportunity to go to South America and walk amongst those people. I believe it's changed me and probably broadened my scope and makes me want to work harder for our Indigenous peoples. So that's one of the things that I took from the WIPSI conference and from Peru. Kia ora whānau. You may see Māori in Peru 9. We'll see. Nō ora.